Welcome back to our Lean Project Canvas conversation. We've gone through our problem, our customer segments. We talked about our solutions, business readiness being the ability for us to deliver on our solutions and promises. We talked about success metrics, setting up some KPIs and measures so that we know that we're on track when we're moving forward with this initiative. Now we want to look at business value. So this is when we're looking at business value, we're looking at for that money that I want to spend, what am I getting back for that? And there are other methods you can go with. You can do IRR, you can do net present value computations. Those can be a part of your business value when you do talk about the canvases. You can do those computations, put them into your canvas. What I want to introduce is something a little bit different. Maybe you haven't seen this before, but I like using these. These are what I have called business value cards. It's in the Fibonacci series, so 100, 200, 300, 500, 800, 1,200, 2,000, and 3,000. So what I'm doing here is we're attempting to abstract away, or not necessarily away, but we're trying to find a way to baseline the value of this canvas against other initiatives that we've done, or we set up a baseline and then we subscribe this canvas on a continuum, and this is the continuum. So typically what we like to do is just say we determine what a 500 or 800 canvas is, and then rate these canvases and other canvases. So you have to assume that we're having a meeting and we're putting all these business proposals up on the wall, but we have to pick one at the end of the day. So what we'll look at is finding a way to articulate the value of this canvas using a simple number. And this is actually far easier than, it might sound like, okay, I need a 60-page proposal, all my projections of the costs and all the revenue that may be coming in, all that's very predictive. But given that you have enough experience in the field, you can actually figure this out by looking at these canvases and using your prior experience to rate these against each other. What sort of benefits are these going to bring with the money that I bring in? And with our business value, there are quantitative aspects and qualitative aspects. So quantitative aspect, if we were to predict the amount of money that would come in per month, so we're looking to score an MRR of 5,000 over 6 months, what we say overall when the project stabilizes, just say we're going to think it's going to be a $30,000 monthly recurring revenue coming in for this. The other possible idea is if there's somebody that wants collaboration. So apologies if I'm spelling sommelier incorrectly, but maybe we have a part of our board of directors has a sommelier that's looking to do a collaborative project, big name sommelier perhaps within the town, and they can bring a lot of clientele into this business model, and then what we give them is probably a small percentage of the, say, food and beverage service sales. So they need to drive up the food and beverage service sales with the collaborative project. Perhaps it is a restaurant, a chef, somebody high-end like that. We can bring clientele in, and then if they're linked up with the restaurant, they have the restaurant on one side, but on the other side they have this conference service, or they're providing catering or service facilities. Perhaps the sommelier in this case is a director. So we'd say that collaboration could lead us to a name. So this is more qualitative, so it's branding. So we're looking at an increase of brand awareness. Now, if I do say that, I have to subscribe maybe some way to measure this. And this could be coming up with a social media engagements, the number of people that comment on content that's put in, or you put maybe there's a coupon on it so you can get your first meeting for free, If they bring that in, then that tells me that perhaps a marketing campaign is working. Then overall with the business value is what I would write here when we do, and in another video I can explain how this system works for doing the estimations. Let me know in the comments below. In that case, let's just assume that this is worth an 800. So when all said and done, we're just going to have one number here, and that's going to be 800, because then we're going to use that to measure the value of this canvas against other canvases. We can go a little more in depth, but as you see, this doesn't take a lot of time to put together, and there's still a lot of thoughts and conversations that are spawned from doing this exercise. So this is not to be discounted. We don't need to have a 60-page document that nobody's going to read, and that's going to be incorrect because it's all guesses and estimates. Even though this is guesses and estimates, we're trying to achieve the same objective in a very short amount of time, but it still has pretty significant impact. Continuing on with our lean project canvas example, we finished our business value conversation and came up with a number of 800. Now we want to come up with some cost structures around bringing this proposal to fruition. So what we'll look at for this is people, capital, marketing, other things like there might be legal or economic aspects that we have to look at and factor that in to building the cost structure of our business model. So all these can be computed. We can guess on, based on our business readiness, what are the particular cost components that we need to put together and come up with a cost. There are also some unknowns. We're looking at having an online booking software, so if there's no commodity software out there that really solves the problem that we're trying to achieve, then we may have to build that or contract out to a team to get that built for us. So when all said and done, I don't need to do a cost calculation here, but what we could say is perhaps we're looking at a starting cost structure of $15,000 a month. We're going to keep this low and tight, or maybe 15 to perhaps 20,000 a month. And what I've done also here is I put the Fibonacci's down here, so I have 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and 20. If we take these canvases, and as I mentioned in the previous video when we're talking about the business value, if we take these canvases and we put them all up on the wall, and just say we have a half dozen of these, and our board of directors is trying to determine how best to spend some money that we have that we want to invest, then putting down the cost structure, but what we can also do is we can abstract that out to, again, the Fibonacci series here, and say, okay, what does a 5 and 8 represent? And have a canvas that represents a difficulty or effort or cost estimate of 5 and 8, and then put all these canvases together, and they'll fall within a continuum. Some of them may be very expensive to deploy. So for example, if I wanted to build a condominium building with full services that also includes this conference center, then this is going to come up pretty high in cost. So if I compare this canvas against one where I'm actually building a high-rise, the high-rise is going to be far more on the higher cost side than this particular canvas. So that depends on how much money and capital we have to spend and the relative size of these projects. So if I have a small project like this, and we're comparing it against golf courses, condominium developments, maybe marinas, then you can see that average immediately, there's a difference in the continuum of that. So then we have to really say, okay, what space are we playing in? Are we playing in multi-million-dollar space? Or are we playing within tens of thousands of dollars? And this is a pretty easy problem to solve. I don't need to spend a lot of time on that. It just depends on what the risk tolerance is, and it's just how much money that the investors are willing to spend and put into this project. So for the costs, we will put in, we'll do this estimation, and I can show you this in a separate video. I can put the business value and cost together and show you how you come up with something called weighted shortest job first, or basically it's a quotient where I divide the business value by the effort to deploy it, and you come up with a quotient number. And basically, when you're all done rating the canvases and you come up with these values for the business value and the cost, then you'll have a series of numbers. Just say you have 100 versus 5, then 100 means it's going to be more valuable to deploy that. So that's the summary on costs. Not going to go very deep into that. Pretty easy to get a spreadsheet out and calculate those costs, and then do an estimation around the relative cost structure of this versus other canvases that are similar to it.